And it says we're live. Oh my god. So, if anyone can see this today, I tried to set this up a different way so that we wouldn't be so out of sync, and that seems to have caused other problems. At the same time, it may have created an opportunity to ask questions and have us answer them, and when we answer them, it'll tag the video to create kind of a chapter marker, so that if somebody wants to see, oh, where did this question show up and where did it get answered, it might allow us to do that, or it might just cause problems. We don't know. But I'm going to be bouncing back and forth like a crazy person for a little bit, trying to make sure that everything's going the way it should go. But Don, I couldn't remember. I actually was almost going to go back and watch the end of the video last week. What did we talk about? What did we talk about sharing this week? I'm like, bleh.
I was going to dig out all the silk stuff I was talking about.
That was it.
Yay! So remember how Heather and I both found out that we were knitting those hanky mitts, remember? Last time,
Oh,
and
yes.
I was like, oh, I have one somewhere. And you'll find there's actually in my projects, there's a pretty picture of the one I had in progress that now looks like this.
Oh, wait.
That's the mitt? And for those playing at home, it's not a mitt anymore.
That's what it looks
like
like now.
Of fiber.
It's a ball of pulled out Mawata hankies because
wow.
I apparently was not as good at pulling them out or knitting them at the appropriately dense gauge to actually make a functional mitt, because after I saw Heather's mitt last week, and I pulled mine out, I was like, oh. So I pulled it out and I worked on the pulling it, you know, a little bit more even. So now I'll be able to, I actually think, I don't know, this is not enough to make 2 mitts out of. I don't know how I thought it was going to be. But I did all of the hankies that were in the bag and just rolled them all up. This isn't going to make 2 mitts.
That's about the size of an orange, right?
It's about the size of an orange. Yeah, I was going to say it's quite a bit bigger than a tennis ball. It's actually about the size of a baseball.
Wow.
Baseball, not as big as a softball. Not 2 mitts. But there's there's greeny, teals, turquoises. There's some purple and orange and red in there. So I had a whole bunch of crazy colored hankies that I was working from. But now I'm gonna figure out what it's gonna be.
So before we go any further, I need to break in because I finally figured out how this thing works. So people who are on the Google Live page, if you look and you see that little Google, it's like a Hollywood Squares thing where it's what is it, a 3x3 grid of little tiny squares and knobs? I know, I'm dating myself. If you click on that, you should have an option between Q&A and Showcase. Showcase right now is boring. I'm not doing anything interesting with it. But the Q&A thing is where you can type questions that we will then see. And Robin has already figured it out. And Robin, yes, we can see now. We can see your comments. Now, Erica, you're on the laptop, yes, and Dawn, you're on the iPad?
I'm on the laptop.
You're on the laptop. Okay, if you widen your Hangout window enough and you click on the little upper right-hand side Hollywood Squares thing, you should be able to see the choice between Q&A and Showcase. If that isn't showing up, then hover over your far left side.
Yep.
And see if you can see the Q&A thing there and activate it from that point. The neat thing about this is it should tag the video.
Is that what chat is?
No, chat's
just
the
same thing.
For us. It's
okay. So I have chat, I have screen share, and I have showcase.
Oh, and you don't have the Q&A one.
My options.
All right.
I have the Q&A. I can see the questions. Can we only answer them verbally in the Hangout and not by typing?
I think they have to be done verbally.
Okay. And Tara, Tara, that we know that the YouTube chat window is not coming up, and we don't know why.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so do I.
It's a test run. And AT is trying valiantly to get on to see this. So I'm going to send her a link, and Dawn, I hand it back to you now.
It's a work in progress today. That's awesome. So the other silk thing I talked about, I'm trying to pull it out. I talked about last week was, I should have opened the bag. Can you hear it?
Yes.
I should have opened the bag before, but I was too busy making myself coffee. Okay, was a silk brick. This is a silk brick.
Nice.
And that's how it comes in a giant.
Well,
giant
it looks
blob.
like roving, right? Or top, but it isn't. So it sort of is. It's not top because it's not. I have some. Dang it! I didn't bring that. I have silk top, and Heather, you've seen silk top before.
Yes, I have.
Right? It's all like super organized and super straight and super flyaway and wispy. This is different. Can you see? It's not. It's all kind of organized, but it's not as organized. It's not like a hanky.
No, it looks like that raw silk when you get like the nubbiness on it.
And it's really long.
It's definitely got the silk shininess to it.
Yep, it's really shiny. It's really long. And you know, Chris's label says it's 100% Bombyx silk, 4.5 ounces.
And Bombyx, isn't Bombyx the one that's been cut to, or no, they let the moth survive, and so it had to eat its way out of the cocoon, which means it broke the silk.
Right, but I don't know how they get this. Big, enormous, long thing. But this drafts beautifully. It is not as slippery as the silk top is at all. It actually has some grab to it. It's fantastic to spin.
Nice.
Yeah.
And from here, it looks like it's all blues and silver and stuff. Is that right?
Yep. There's a little bit of purple in there somewhere. This one. See, there's a little bit of purple there and some white blotches. Otherwise, it's like deep sea blues, kind of. This one, but I'll show you the one I spun. This is not going to surprise you. Don't fall over in shock. Orangey, rusty, kind of gold.
Oh my God.
It's not showing. It's not showing as deep on the monitor as it is in real life. But I have 3 of these. Gajillion D1. And it's I would say it's a fingering to a light fingering is what I got. This is by far my favorite silk preparation I've ever encountered. So
that is gorgeous.
Yeah, I highly recommend you. People say they get frustrated, with the hankies because they stick to you so much, and then the silk top is so slippery you almost can't keep up with it drafting. But this stuff is really it's great. I think a beginner could even do it because it does have grab to it. I love it. It's great.
Well, you're getting lots of responses for the blues and green as well. They're rolling in a little bit late.
I'll probably tackle that one. That's, I think, going to be on my tour to, I suppose it's not fleece, my tour to Silkworm this summer. Maybe will be that.
I like that.
There's that one.
Yeah, Tara pointed out that she saw a TARDIS blue in there.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Those tones are in there too. So yeah, those are my silk projects. And then I'll show you an example of what I found. When I was digging, there was a lot of it. You'll be seeing it over the next couple of weeks. But an example of the things I found, I did find the one finished skein of. So this is also Chris's stuff, and it's the, it's that same dyer and that same colorway. So they're basically, like her same colors, just different bases. So this is the silk and this is a wool. But that spindle project that I showed you last week, with all those little eggs, so this is applied skein, applied hanging.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's, again, the oranges and russets and, but yeah, so there's that. I was happy to find that. What else did I find? I found that I have 2 circular shawls.
Oh my God.
Not a surprise. One of them's finished, and I just didn't want to block it. So I stuffed it in a bag.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's a pie shawl, and it's actually, so the center is a free pattern that's online on Ravelry. I think it's called the Flower Pie Shawl. Really, imaginative name. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty. And then the rest of it is just, I finished with, just Elizabeth Zimmerman's classic pie shawl, and then just a garter, an applied garter edge, that you do sideways with the as you're casting off the stitches, just sideways, which I think is my kind of favorite way to finish off a circular shawl. Because otherwise you end up with that long cast off that goes forever, and it's totally not elastic, and then you go to block it and you're like, but the outside edge is too tight. But the edging, if you do that applied edging as you're casting off, you get this nice, there's no tight at the outside edge at all, and it just eats up the stitches as you're doing these little tiny repeat rows. It's nice.
We were just talking about that. That is so pretty.
Yeah, I really liked it. And like I said, I think it's a free, the flower chart is a free pattern on Ravelry. Yeah, Flower Pie Shawl. Yep, Flower Pie Shawl by Megan Ellinger. Megan Ellinger.
Is it pie, P-I-E?
Yes. Flower P-I-E
okay,
shawl.
And Tara wants to know, how do you plan on blocking that, if ever?
Good question. I don't know. I would have to find somewhere big enough to leave it out long enough to dry, which is probably why it's never been blocked yet, because in our house that's really hard to do. What I'll probably do, my daughter's going to Sweden for 2 weeks this summer, so maybe I'll block it in July. Maybe I'll block it in July. And do it on the top of her bed. And what I've heard that people do is use like a piece of string, and you anchor one end in the center, and then run the piece of string out to the edge, and place pins as you rotate it around to keep it all, the circumference nice and uniform. Right. That's probably what I'll do, because I don't have like a gajillion however of flexible blocking wires.
Oh, yeah.
I would need like a lot of some serious distance and flexible blocking wires to do it that way. So yeah, I think it might just be pins.
Wow.
But so there was that one, and I think that cocoa brown in the middle is I think it's the Dream in Color lace weight is what it is. And then the stuff on the edge I think is just some leftover oatmeal sock yarn.
Ooh.
So yeah, but then I had another one. There was another one in the bag with it.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
This is another pie shawl. Because have you ever knit a pie shawl?
No.
I started to.
Yeah. It's just, you just go around and around and around. And as long as you count your rows, and then you just add the eyelet, you just add the eyelet rows and double your stitches every so often. It's like hours of mindlessly fun knitting. And if you do it in something really entertaining, like this JoJo Land sock yarn, and the color changes all the time, it's really exciting.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, that's just a plain, the eyelet version of the pie shell in this JoJo Land progressive sock yarn. And I'm doing another applied edging on this one, and I don't know, I have it probably over a third of the way around the edge. And at some point I got tired of it and stuffed it in a bag. So here's the edge I'm doing in dark green, and it looks like I'm doing just some regular old lace. I think it's just the knit two together, yarn over, and then when you flip, it's offset and you go back. At least that's how I've been reading what it is. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the ones from. It's one of the variations, the edging variations, in the Knitter's Almanac.
Yay! Yay for the Knitter's Almanac.
Yep. So this is actually the one that I'm like, that's what I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish that one. So I'm going to pick that up. That's what I'm going to do next.
I have a piece of trivia about the Knitter's Almanac. So a few years ago, when it was going to be Elizabeth Zimmerman's 100th, and they were going to reissue the Knitter's Almanac, I was actually approached by Meg Swanson asking if they could use one of my finished shawls in the book, because I did it from, I think it was the February shawl, from square but from the center out, and they actually liked two of my shawls, and I sent them both in, and then the publisher rejected them.
Well,
so they didn't get to be in the book. But I almost got to have some of my knitting in the 100th Elizabeth Zimmerman anniversary.
Ooh. Oh yeah, there. It's the chapter. It's the chapter with the baby things and the big blanket.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the double knit blanket there.
Well, no, but then it's on top of another. They're on top of another blanket that's a square.
Okay.
It looks like a square from the center out. Let's see if there's a better
picture.
Oh,
okay, yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost some serious time when I pulled this book out of the bag the other night because I was like, I loved this book. It's fun. It's fun just to read. She has just such a conversational style.